Okay, so the next group that we're going to hear from is a group called Students Need Accepting Peers, also known as SNAP, out of Dexter High School. Unfortunately, their teacher is not able to join us, but I'm going to go ahead and share their slides on her behalf, and then I'll call the young student advocates up to the stage, and they can kind of share their stories with you. I have to do two things here. I have my notes here and there. So the peer-to-peer research and the peer-to-peer START project is based out of Grand Valley State University. Their research is grounded in autism evidence and practice and evidence-based practice for students with ASD. Research outcomes support that their growth in social communication, academic, and play skills for students who are both neurodivergent and neurotypical. And outcomes support that growth in compassion, kindness, empathy, understanding, advocacy, and inclusion and belonging are all significant. Okay. When it comes to the research, the outcomes show that there is an emergence of a theme related to experience and exposures that lead to positive impact on students' school experiences and their interest in school attendance. The six themes of benefit that have emerged are emotional, enjoyment, pride, inclusion, and inspiration, skill development that focuses on flexibility, patience, problem solving, acceptance around understanding disabilities, personal reflection, so compassion and personal growth, comfort, being comfortable with people with exceptionalities, and growth and commitment, so advocacy, career engagement, academic goals, and relationships. The research also supports that students with disabilities need to experience self-determination and self-advocacy in order to be the most successful and independent as they transition into adulthood. These exposures are not only necessary but transformational. I think we were hearing that before when we heard from Eric from the adaptive sports, is there's a transformation that occurs with students. Transformation occurs because they provide opportunities for increased autonomy and encourages students and teaches them to become not only leaders but also advocates and mentors. There are posters in the rooms to support that. When it comes to where does the transformation come from? These peer-to-peer programs foster belonging, what is belonging? So it's the feeling of being comfortable as part of a particular group and having a positive relationship with other members of a group because they feel welcomed and accepted. At the root, the sense of belonging is one of humanity's most basic needs, and it's identified these are some of the identified dimensions of belonging on the screen. So we see that people feel needed, they feel present, invited, welcomed, known, accepted, involved, supported, heard, and befriended. What makes these peer-to-peer programs work is because the dimensions of belonging are the core principle embedded into these programs. And so Students Need Accepting Peers program was introduced to Dexter a couple of years ago. And when they started with a handful of volunteers, peer volunteers, to support their allies. And currently they have about 60 allies in the program that support their students with neurodiversity and other disabilities. And for next year, I was impressed with the number of volunteers that are coming in. They have 165 volunteers that'll be joining to support the students. So that's really exciting to hear. The Dexter Community Schools SNAP hosts a number of extensive activities such as Night to Shine, bead making, karaoke, Friendsgiving, game night, movies, and bowling. And in fact, a couple of weeks ago, there was a bowling event in Saline, and so it was exciting to see that there was a community of individuals with different disabilities all together kind of partaking in activities and really enjoying the evening. And I will tell you that my personal calendar is busy because I am engaged in all of their activities. My personal calendar has nothing on it, so. SNAP also fosters leadership opportunities. They meet the local and national. This particular group meets with the local and national legislative representatives. They presented to City Hall, and in fact, they're advocating for an all-inclusive playground. And most recently, they went to State Capitol to share their stories. So, kudos to them. Activities from the year also include a silent disco, wheelchair basketball game, with our very own the adaptive sports and fitness team that went out and visited. These students are also exposed to a wide range of sports through a unified inclusive sports. This year we started with soccer. They just wrapped up basketball season, and just this past weekend they competed in the Special Olympics in Grand Rapids, and I'm excited to share that they won the gold, and so we celebrated that. And they'll begin track and field next week when they return from spring break. But all of these experiences give exceptional athletes with disabilities an incredible opportunity to live in the sport in their own way. Personal testimony here, when you watch the talent and you see the transformation on the ground, it's really inspiring because you see how they move beyond the limitations that we have ascribed. So it's powerful. And as I shared this past weekend, they competed, and here they are, winning and receiving their gold medals. So good job, guys. In the transition here, I'm going to invite our young guests, advocates, to come up. Amelia and Tamor, will you go ahead and come up? So Amelia Sugart is a senior at Dexter High School. You guys can have a seat there. A senior at Dexter High School. During her free time, she enjoys reading, sleeping, so do I, Amelia, listening to music, doing art projects, watching football. Fun fact about Amelia, she was adopted from China when she was 11 months old. Her favorite TV series are Bluey and Animal Jam, and Bluey is with, no, Chili?
That's Bluey's
Bluey is with us today. Amelia currently works as a care camp assistant with the after-school program at Dexter. And after she graduates, she plans to transition into the Washtenaw ISD program in Dexter. So congratulations on your upcoming graduation, Amelia. Tamor Zalmut is, I'm a little biased here because Tamor is my son. But Tamor is a freshman at Dexter High School. He participates in various sports, and this year he participated in wrestling, unified. When he came home, by the way, let me just go off on a tangent. He came home one day and he's like, I signed up for wrestling. And I'm like, what? And he's like, I signed up for wrestling. And I'm like, you don't even roughhouse. What are we going to do? So he did beautifully. It was inspiring just to kind of watch him, but my nerves were a wreck every time I would go to a game. He also does unified soccer and basketball. He'll be starting track next week. And he's a fan of anime, so one of his favorite series is One Piece. Tamor also enjoys sports, gaming, watching TV, and traveling. Tamor enjoys helping others with disabilities and would someday like to become a coach for children with disabilities. And let's see, our next speaker, so come on up. So, Tamor?
By the way, my autism is my power. And also my favorite things to do is sports, basketball, and soccer, and also video games, Sonic, Transformers, Mario. Also, I travel all over the world. I love sports. Why am I here today? I am autistic and neurodivergent. This means the same thing. Autism causes me to have some trouble with social things and understanding other people's perspectives. I actually get nervous trying something new. Change is especially hard for people with autism. It is hard for me to figure out when to laugh at something or not. Sometimes I laugh at the wrong thing. And I have trouble holding back my emotions when people upset me. Social narratives help me understand how to handle the situation better. People can get me upset. Why this is hard at school? People can get me upset at school when they are in my way. I am working on handling myself better. I will tell people to stay away from me and to stop, please. I can control myself better when I play basketball, when someone visually shows me how to do it. For example, of someone pulls up a yellow sign that I'm getting too aggressive, I can stop myself and back off. The awesomeness of autism: when I like something, I know everything about it. So I am very smart in many areas. I am really good at unified sports. When I get older, I'd like to be a coach for people with disabilities. Also, a little bit about autism.
Do I push it?
Yes.
We are all different, and that's wonderful. Some differences are easy to see: height, hairstyle, eye color, and so on. Other differences can't be seen: our favorite foods, fears, or special skills. Interestingly, the way we see the world is also different. For instance, what do you see in this drawing? Most people see a duck, but some of you might have seen a rabbit. Whichever you saw, you are correct. This is just a trick drawing to show you that all brains work differently. The brain is your body's computer. It works differently for all of us and controls how you learn. That's why we are all good at different things. How you feel, which is why we all feel different emotions. And how you communicate. Sometimes the brain is connected in such a way it affects the senses and how we perceive and read situations and interactions. This is known as autism. Many people have autism, so it's likely you already know someone who is autistic. And for this reason, it's useful to know a little bit about autism. The special wiring inside an autistic brain can sometimes make the person good at tasks we may find difficult, such as mathematics, drawing, or music. It can also do the opposite, and activities we find too easy are incredibly difficult to them, such as making friends. The senses constantly send information to your brain about your surroundings and other people. However, when a person's brain and its senses don't communicate well, the brain can become overwhelmed and confused, affecting how they see the world. Picture yourself walking down the street. This is how an autistic brain may experience the same walk. Scary, isn't it? Sadly, in many cases, the person can't say out loud how they feel. So even though there's chaos going on in their heads, they seem okay on the outside, unable to ask for help. We will develop behaviors to help us feel calm in uncomfortable situations. We may look away, hug ourselves, chew our fingernails, fidget, bite our lips, and so on. Equally, autistic people develop behaviors that help them cope with these intense moments. These actions may seem unusual, but they're just their way to feel calm. When they happen, it means they are having a hard time. The kind thing to do is not to give them an even harder time by getting cross, ignoring them, or mocking them. Remember, just because a PlayStation can't read an Xbox game, it doesn't mean it's broken. People with autism need friends who are willing to take the time to know them. With good communication and plenty of patience, everyone would be better off. People with autism are not ill or broken. They simply have a unique view of the world. And with a little support from their friends, they might just be able to share that view with us. Autism can make amazing things happen.
We are now going to go on. Does anybody have any questions for Tamor? Okay. We're going to go on to Amelia.
Okay. Ready? So, autism is a lifelong developmental disability that affects the way that people communicate, learn, behave, and interact with others differently. It is caused by the differences in the brain. The first level of autism is mild, and the person is always verbal. They only have a little trouble with social interactions and communication. Level 2, which I have, is mid-range. It requires significant support, and there's been times where I needed more help on social interactions, communication, and being in a conversation, understanding metaphors and sarcasm, and reading social cues. Level 3 is severe. Most people who have this are nonverbal or verbal, but they have more trouble with social skills, and they can't cope with changes, and a lot of sensory issues and interactions with others are hard. So signs of autism, sometimes it's difficult to understand how others are feeling and thinking. Sometimes it's hard to read social cues. Sometimes there's difficulty expressing your own feelings. Sometimes there's delayed language development. Sometimes it's hard to do eye contact. Sometimes you have a hard time making friends. Sometimes there's overstimulation over minor changes, and sometimes you prefer to be alone more than others. Some behaviors I've had before: hand flapping, rocking and swaying a lot, repeating sounds, making unusual noises. Sometimes I might not be nice more than others think, but there's intense interests, and there's a lot of anxiety more than others have. Some sensory issues are being sensitive to loud noises and nearby conversations, and light touches, being sensitive to certain food textures or different clothing textures, and being sensitive to smell and bright lights. Some coping skills are fidgets, social stories, visual schedules, noise-canceling headphones, taking breaks more often, holding a stuffed animal. Ways to help are use simple words and clear language, speak slowly and clearly, use gestures, eye contact, and pictures, allow someone extra time to understand things, use communication aids, minimize routine disruptions, prepare for changes ahead of time. So what I've experienced with autism is, if others sometimes talk to me, if I'm overwhelmed, I wouldn't be very nice and yell at them and do things that I should have not done. Some challenges in the past, I've had hard times with problem solving and understanding social cues and when people might be making fun of me behind my back, and having conversations and understanding boundaries and making new friends, expressing my feelings and understanding how people think and feel, and communications with others and making eye contact. So Autism Acceptance Day is always April 2nd every year, and the whole month of April is Autism Acceptance Month each year. So sensory bins around town and for events. I helped peers make sensory bins with different types of fidgets, sunglasses, headphones, and an instruction sheet about everything in the bins. We have these around the city of Dexter at places such as restaurants and at big events like the Friday night football games. What I have done to promote autism acceptance. One thing I did last year was set up the autism walk in April at Al Ritt on the track where they play football, and I made signs and posters all about autism. The walk was set up for the whole school district. I encouraged everybody that attended the walk to wear blue, since blue is the color to represent autism acceptance. Our walk this year will be on April 4th at Al Ritt. Our goal is to continue to grow. So these are some videos that I put in. You can play one.
No, I don't.
That's okay. I hope this helped. Thank you.
So these are wonderful advocates, and I love seeing that at this young age, they're out there speaking their truth, sharing their vulnerabilities, but also advocating for help and support. So again, thank you so much for being here, and good job.